Proverbs chapter 23 and verse 21. It says, for the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty. This is the pathway to poverty right here. The drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags. All right, so the drunkard and the glutton. If you want to write those down on your piece of paper, some of you all got it locked in your mind already. All right. So on this walk, a nice amount of us still drink a little wine. Some people drink strong drink. All right. I'm not here to make anyone feel bad if you do have your little glass here and there. But I'm telling you what wisdom tells you is that the drunkard and the glutton, they're going to come to poverty. Some people can't just stop with one glass. That's why they recommend some people not to drink at all, because one glass is going to lead to two. And for those of us that have drunk before, all of us that have drunk on the line, you know that there is a line after a couple of drinks that there's that line between soberness and tipsiness. And if you cross that line by just taking a half of another cup, you begin to start, your speech begins to get slurred. You begin to not be yourself. It's just by that extra cup or that extra half a cup. So, and it leads to drowsiness. What it says right here, drowsiness shall clothe a man in rags. Y'all know that feeling that we have, for those of us that are drunk on this line before, that feeling inside of your chest, that groggy feeling, that feeling that makes you want to lay down an extra hour or two more because you've been up all night and you're trying to recuperate the next day. That those habits, it's not the one night of being drunk leads you to poverty. It's what it entails. It's the habits that comes forth. It's the laziness. Now that because you're drunk, now you got to call off work. And because you keep the habit up of drinking, now you calling off multiple days work, and now you just got fired. And because you just got fired, now you can't pay your rent or your mortgage. It's a domino effect of the drinking. The glutton person right here. The glutton person don't get off the hook as well. The person that's constantly eating too much. Listen, it's going to affect them in their pocketbook, and it's going to affect their health and their mental health, because now they done picked up all this weight. Now they feel very discouraged. But like I told you about the fast food, going out to eat every day, all right, and especially if a person not exercising, it's going to cause them to literally deteriorate. So keep an eye out on the gluttonous and the drunkard, because it can lead to poverty. Money spent on food can go towards savings and investments. What it talks about a person that troubles their house. It said that person will inherit the wind. What does it say what does it mean when Proverbs tells us that the person that troubles their house will inherit the wind? It said that person is going to be sleeping outside. That person is going to inherit the wind. They're going to be inheriting the wind on a park bench. This is the pathway to poverty. It's being drunkards, being gluttonous, riotous eaters of flesh. What it tells us right here in wisdom, it tells us do not even be associated with these type of people. If you know people that all they want to do is overeat, and every time they're indulging in food or they're indulging in drinking, and that's all, and they want to invite you to that all the time. All right, it's wisdom is telling you're gonna have to chill out on that association right there. Your associations, by the way, it can lead you to poverty. They say you are the average of the 5 individuals who you spend the most time talking with. The way you walk, the way you talk, the way you look, the way you dress, your verbiage, your speech, and your bank balance is in direct correlation to the 5 people you spend the most time talking to. Think about that one for a minute. It is a law of association. I know a lot of us want to say that's a new agey term. It's right there in the wisdom books. You can go to Proverbs chapter 13. Ecclesiastes chapter 13, verse 15. Every beast loveth his kind, and every man his neighbor. All flesh can sort of into a kind, and a man will cleave unto his like. What does it say in the book of Proverbs? Make no friendship with an angry man, lest thou learn their ways, and it be a snare unto his soul. What does it say in the book of Corinthians? Be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners. It's a law of associations, whether you want to call it that or not. You got to be careful who you associate with. And so if you're trying to increase your income, and I'm not saying money is everything, so please don't take it the wrong way, but they do say it ranks somewhere up there close to oxygen. You're not going to get too far without it in this world that we're living in now, in this economy. So you really want to be careful of who's your favorite 5. I was doing this with the youth mentorship, this mentorship. By the way, if you all have some young men, all right, ages 14 years old and up, we have a youth mentorship on Saturday, on the Sabbath day. And from 11 to 1, we pouring into them these concepts. Some of the stuff we're talking to about right now, we're trying to give it to them while they're teenagers. All right. If you have any young men, if you know any young men that need mentorship, send them our way so we can take care of them. Back to the scriptures though. Proverbs chapter 11 verse 24. Let's go there. Let's go there. Proverbs 11 and 24. This is the pathway to poverty today. If you do the opposite of what I'm telling you today, it's going to put you in a favorable situation. All right. It's good to see Elder Jose on here as well. All right. He's into the seasons of life. He got the dynamic teachings about the seasons of life and the times of increase. I've not heard anyone else break it down the way he has. I'm like, wow. He took that Genesis, I think it's Genesis chapter 8, and he took it to a whole different level. Proverbs chapter 11, I said Proverbs chapter 11 verse 24. It said, there is that scattereth and yet increaseth, and there is that which withholdeth, which more than is meat, but it tends to poverty. I'm gonna say that one more time. There is the person that scattereth and yet increaseth, and there is the person that withholds more than is meat, and it ends to poverty. So when you go to Ecclesiastes, I'm gonna go here for a second. Ecclesiastes chapter 11, if you want to go here with me. All right, we talk about the person that's scattering his seeds and the person that's withholding more than is meat. So Ecclesiastes chapter 11, it says in verse 1, cast thy bread upon the waters, for thou shalt find it after many days. Now we'll skip down a few scriptures. In verse number 4, he that observed the wind shall not sow, and he that regards the clouds shall not weep. So if you're a person that's waiting for all the situations to be favorable for you, you're going to be a person that's going to never start scattering your seeds. Because in situations in life, if you're waiting for things to always be right, it may never be the perfect time. Let's continue. Verse 5. Now, number 6. In the morning sow thy seed, and in the evening withhold not thy hand. For thou knowest not whether it shall prosper, either at this or at that, or whether they both be alike good. So you don't know what's going to prosper, but it's your job. Let's go back to Proverbs chapter 11. It's your job to scatter the seeds, and that seed might be diversification. Please mute your phone now, please. I see somebody talking. And your seeds might be diversification, investments into different vehicles. But the person, but the wisdom says is the person that is withholding more than meat is going to lead to poverty. Why is this person withholding more than what's meat? It's because they are afraid. It's because they are timid. It's because they are like the person that has the one talent. And that if I hold on to what I have, at least I can report back to my master and say that I did not take a loss. But in today's society, all right, the dollar that you have, if you're not putting it towards a vehicle to generate more income, and you come back 6 months down the road, you did take a loss because that dollar is not worth the dollar 6 months from now. So if you withhold what's more than meat, it's going to lead you to poverty. And what that is saying is that fear attracts poverty. Because the reason why a person is not out here scattering, a reason why a person is not out here being their best self is because they are afraid. And I've been at different business conferences and seminars and workshops throughout the country, from Florida to Ohio, wherever, all kind of places in between. And here I'm here to tell you this. I've been down to Atlanta and the different conferences, these social media influencers. I have met them. I've shaken their hands. Some of them have bought my books. They got my books. All that. I've met them, right? And one thing they would say, what would you do if you were not afraid to fail? And I want to ask you all that question tonight. If you knew that you couldn't fail, what kind of limitations would you take off of yourself? If you knew that you couldn't fail. But somewhere along the journey, we got rid of that childlike belief that we used to have. She said, I'll leave my job today. That's powerful. So we know what her reason why is. She says it's going to be very soon. So we know that's the thing. That's the thing I know now by her putting it in the chat. That is one of her reasons why. It may be family, other things that go along with that. She don't want to be reported to no one. How many of you on the line? When you think about your long-term vision, I think about myself as being an international speaker, traveling around the world, sharing messages, standing on stages, delivering talks about wisdom, delivering talks about wealth. All right, but I have a job, and sometimes I feel like I'm a slave to my own business. I own a job. All right, I have to report to it every day. I'm the owner of the business, but I have to report there every single day. And so I'm trying to build some freedom with myself. That's why I had to start me a consulting business, because I'm trying to find a way out of even reporting to a building every single day. So I'm with you right there, my sister. We got to create the right system. Absolutely. So the person that withholds more than was meat is going to lead you to poverty. Stop being afraid. Get out there and put your money into something. Invest it into a proper vehicle that can generate cash flow. I just had a vehicle that I was able to go and buy me cars. I was the owner. I'm still the owner of a used car dealership. So my investment, when it reaches a certain amount, I could just go buy a car and someone come on my lot. And that money is not the money I got tied up into buying vehicles. That's money that I have for my savings and investments. So if I want to go buy a vehicle for $3,500, $4,000, sell it for $7,000, that gave me a $3,000 increase, and that's faster than the stock exchange right there. So quick. If you put your money in the New York Stock Exchange or the S&P 500, you may get a 8 to 10% return, which is good because the larger amounts that you put in there, the larger you're going to see a return. But for me, I'm like, listen, let me go and put this money to a vehicle. I can flip it, investment. Everyone don't have that opportunity to do the same thing. All right, but you have to find that vehicle for you. Let's continue. Let's continue with the scriptures. I appreciate my man y'all on here. He said a timely message, a timely message. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 14. This is the pathway to poverty. And if you avoid this pathway, all right, you, your wife, your husband, you all are going to be looking at each other with smiles on your faces. You're going to be looking at each other, touching and feeling it on each other without that stress, without those wrinkles in your forehead that comes with being angry and frustrated about money, about the arguments that come. You know, that's the number one reasons of divorce is money. Right there with adultery, 1A, 1B. Infidelity, money. All right. Some people say money is number one. Some people say adultery is number one. Well, it's 1A and 1B. You got to get your money together. All right. I'm telling you this. It's easier, even what I'm about to say might ruffle some feathers. It's easier for some of your wives to even support you and submit to you if you got your things in order. Oh, I hope I ain't ruffling nobody's feathers right there. It's harder for a woman to be trying to follow a man that does not have their stuff in order. I know we can sit back and say, well, they supposed to submit to me anyway. I don't care if I'm broke. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be a harder time for that woman to give you her all if she don't know if the lights are gonna be cut off tomorrow. How in the world can this woman, you think she's gonna be intimate with you and you can't even stay on top of the bills? Wisdom and wealth over here, not folly and poverty. Let's continue. Proverbs chapter 14 and verse 23. Let's go there for a second. It says, in all labor there is profit, but the talks of the lips tendeth only to penury. Penury is poverty. So I'm going to say that again. In all labor there is profit. Even in the McDonald's job, if something profitable about it, it's up to you to find the treasure. Now, I'm not recommending no one on this live to go work at McDonald's neither, but I'm telling you, in all labor, there is some sort of profit. It is up to you to find the acres of diamonds hidden within the thing that you do right now. There is acres of diamonds that are hidden in the thing that you do every single day. It's up for you to discover it. Your acres of diamonds may be that you get an extra 30 or 40 minutes a day where you can go pray and talk to your creator. Your acres of diamonds may be that you're networking with wealthy people all around the world like myself on a consistent basis. Your acres of diamonds may be the fact that that you're able to get an additional form of pay outside of just your normal pay. You might get a hourly compensation, and you might be able to get some tips or some bonuses on top of that. So I'm saying you gotta find those acres. And if you're unsure about what the acres of diamonds are in your life, I want to implore you tonight to go talk to your Heavenly Father, talk to the Most High Yah, and ask Him, what are the acres that I'm missing out on? there was for those of you that are in personal development, I know we have quite a few people on here that read books. All right, so there was a person named Earl Nightingale. He's what they call the dean of personal development. He gave a story about a man named Russell Conwell. Russell Conwell, because he had these unprivileged young, I think there was people that looked like us. They could not afford school to go to college. So he traveled around the world giving this lecture about the acres of diamonds. And he talked about, just similar to the gold rush, how individuals were traveling to the different areas. They were searching for diamonds. And this individual had diamonds literally in his backyard. But because he couldn't find them in the right amount of time, he sold his property and went elsewhere looking for diamonds, and eventually jumped into the river and drowned. But if he was able to intelligently hire the right people who could go through his backyard, start digging deep down enough in the ground, he had acres right there. Russell Conwell, acres of diamonds. He had a diamond mine in his backyard. And some of you all, you have diamonds in your backyard right now. But because you see individuals on social media thriving, because you see everyone else, I want to tell you this by now. What you see on social media, you're seeing the highlights of these individuals. You're not seeing the lowlights. They're showing you the best of what they're doing, but they're not showing you the struggles. Some people, they'll take you behind the scenes and they'll share with you the struggles and how they got to where they got. But a lot of other people on Instagram, you're seeing the best thing, the best pictures, the best quality pictures. You're not seeing their pictures when they was taking them on low quality phones and they had low budgets and all that. So stop comparing yourself. Comparison is a thief to your victory. It will rob you. Sitting back there trying to compare yourself to someone else. Listen, one person that I have a tremendous amount of respect for, I'm a person that pushes wisdom and wealth. So there was a man a few years ago, I actually met in person. I met him in person, Myron Golden. I watched his teachings years ago. All right, some of you all here will check out Myron, right? And so when I look at myself, and I'm being honest with you all, when I look at the wisdom and wealth, because there are people that know me because I got books on, I met him in person, absolutely. And so there are people that, because I have multiple books on wisdom and I talk about wisdom and wealth, that there's individuals that actually they know me as a person of wisdom. All right, even though I'm a young man in my 40s, they still say you're a young man with wisdom. But when I compare myself to Myron Golden, I sit back, I'll be like, man, I feel like I only know this little, because I hear him saying things that I don't hear another human being talking about when it comes to wisdom and wealth. So I'd be like, man, but then I heard, then there was a young man that was looking at me, and he was looking at the work that I'm doing, and he was like, I could see you at 1 million followers. He was like, listen, I understand that you had all this respect for that man, but he was like, you up there too. And so, but it took a young man to say that. Now, I'm not saying I'm up there with Myron Golden. I'm telling you what somebody else told me. But when you start comparing yourself to other people, it can rob you of the skills, the talents, the giftings that the Father has already placed in you. So please stop comparing yourself. All right, but the last part of that scripture, though, Proverbs chapter 14 and 22, we talked 23. It talked about in all labor there's profit. It's profit in every single last thing that we do. Even the janitor. I found profit in shining shoes. I'm telling you. That's why when you see this new project I'm working on, a lot of those interviews that I tell y'all about interviewing all these successful entrepreneurs around the country and around the world, it came from me running my shoe shine business. I was right there at the feet of these successful people, and I said, am I going to be like the average shoe shiner, or am I going to ask these individual questions? And I started taking all this information down and putting it aside. And I haven't put the book out yet, and I haven't comprised everything yet. But that's why some of you heard my message about millions of dollars worth of wisdom. All right, you're going to hear more about that in the future. But the last scripture, in all labor there is profit, but the talks of the lips tend only to poverty. Listen, you got to watch out on the conversation that you're having with individuals. It said that the talks of the lips tend only to poverty. Listen, you could be having poor conversations that affect your mental, that lead you to go out and doing things that other people are doing that will lead you to poverty. You have to be careful of the conversations that you have with people. I heard a person one time, one of Docs told me, he said, broke people have broke prayers. Broke people have broke prayers. You think about that for a second. Think about the person that's in poverty. All they can think about is just, if I could just get some food for today or next week, or, if I could just pay my Section 8 bill, if I could just qualify just enough so that I can have my benefits and still have food stamps and still be able to stay in this place that I'm at. That's the mindset of some of these people. You got to watch out for these conversations, all right? Let's continue. Now we moving closer to the end. We're moving closer to the end. We talked about the drunkard. We talked about the person that inherits the wind. Communication can leave you in a poor state, all right? And not valuing what you have in your possession right now. One of the things that individuals have made the mistake of is thinking that things are going to always keep going the way that they're going. All right. When I was up there making, 10, 20, $30,000 in a month, man, it was like this stuff is gonna go on forever. And when you drop back down to 5,000, or you go from 5 to 10, and then you go from 10 to 4, and you go to back up to 12, and you drop back down to 4 or 5. All right, when you was at 20 and 30, you thought it was gonna keep going that way. And so what the mistake that some individuals do is they start upgrading their lifestyle too soon. They upgrade their lifestyle too soon and think that they're going to always be at that level. And they drop back down to a certain financial income level. And next thing you know, that you ever heard of a person saying they're in debt to their eyeballs? And next thing you know, they're just broke on a higher level. They got the fancy car, they coming in with all the designer stuff, but little do you know that you are in a way better situation than what they're in. Even some of these people on social media. So that's just what I want to share with you all tonight about the pathway to poverty.